Chapter 1570. As soon as the box was opened, a fluffy white little fellow crawled out from within. At the instant that the white little fellow crawled out, the spirit energy in the surroundings suddenly surged uncontrollably towards her. It was an extremely strange scene. At this moment, the gazes of countless people shot towards the white little fellow, and their eyes were filled with curiosity. What's that? Meanwhile, Xiao Ta suddenly appeared in front of the white little fellow, and he seemed extremely happy. White. The white little fellow rubbed her drowsy eyes. She grinned when she saw Xiao Ta, and then she rubbed Xiao Ta lightly before she gazed at Yi Xian. Meanwhile, Yi Xian didn't say a word and immediately took out a candied haw and passed it to the white little fellow. The white little fellow's eyes instantly lit up when she saw the candied haw, and she took it and started licking it. It was still that familiar white little fellow. The divine prophet stared fixedly at the white little fellow, the spirit patriarch. As he spoke, his expression gradually became solemn. Meanwhile, Yi Xian suddenly said, "White, help me fight, all right?" The white little fellow gazed at Yi Xian, and Yi Xian immediately withdrew another candied haw. The white little fellow's eyes narrowed as she took the candied haw, and then she nodded swiftly. Yi Xian hurriedly turned around and pointed at the group of divine prophet. "Quickly stop them." The white little fellow glanced at the divine prophet, blinked, and then waved her little claw. Bang! In an instant, the lightning, fire, and wind in the starry sky vanished without a trace. All of them had vanished. Both sides were stunned when they witnessed this scene. The divine prophets started to execute their techniques again, and it didn't take long for countless strands of formidable elemental energy to converge in the starry sky. Meanwhile, the white little fellow waved her claw again. Bang! The elemental energy vanished without a trace. The divine prophets were dumbfounded. The white little fellow licked the candied haw, and then she grinned as she gazed at the divine prophets. It seemed like she was telling them to continue. The divine prophets were about to attack, but they were stopped by the divine prophet. The divine word master looked at the little white fellow below. "Spirit ancestor, as the spirit ancestor, why are you helping the person with the adversity body?" The little white fellow licked her sugar-coated haws and pointed at Yi Xian with her little claw before pointing at herself. Obviously, she meant that Yi Xian was in cahoots with her. The divine oracle looked at the little white guy. "He is a sinner of misfortune." The little white fellow blinked and continued to lick the Tonghulu. She didn't understand what the divine word master was saying at all. What sinner of misfortune? Is it better than candied haws? The divine word master's face sank. Fuck, he discovered that he couldn't communicate with the spirit ancestor. And at this time, the Undying Emperor clan experts that were blocked by Teacher Yen had already charged towards the group of Great Qing Dynasty soldiers. With the addition of these experts, how could the Great Qing Dynasty resist? Mu Tian immediately turned to look at the Divine Word Master in the distance. The Divine Word Master suddenly took a step forward and gently pressed down with his right hand. This pressure caused countless bolts of lightning to gather in the starry sky. In the next instant, these bolts of lightning descended in a straight line. In an instant, a formless pressure came crashing down, as if it wanted to shatter the starry sky. Below, Yi Xian opened his palm and a sword appeared in his hand. He was prepared to attack at any time. At this moment, the little white fellow sniffed. In an instant, the divine lightning in the starry sky became illusory and gradually disappeared. Seeing this scene, Yi Xian was stunned. Gone just like that? In the starry sky, the divine oracle's expression also froze. He didn't expect that his divine lightning would disappear just like that. Below, the little white fellow licked her sugar-coated haws with a harmless look. At this time, the group of experts from the Great Qing Dynasty had already been defeated. This was because the Undying Emperor clan's side had already crushed the Great Qing Dynasty and God sect in terms of numbers. Mu Tian looked at the divine oracle. He stared at the divine oracle with a gaze as sharp as a knife. The Cosmos God Court can no longer hold back. He knew that the Cosmos God Court was definitely holding back. The divine oracle suddenly turned to look at Mai. Mai understood and immediately floated towards the little white fellow below. They had to get rid of this little white fellow. Otherwise, the divine oracles would be crippled. Seeing Mai floating towards him, Yi Xian suddenly pulled out his sword. A sword hummed soared into the sky. In the sky, Mai suddenly slapped down with her palm. Boom. A wave of sword light shattered. Yi Xian was directly sent back to his original position. The moment he landed, his fleshly body split apart. At this moment, the little white fellow waved its little claw and a purple aura enveloped Yi Xian. In an instant, Yi Xian's cracked fleshly body returned to normal. At this time, Mai had already appeared in front of Yi Xian and the little white fellow. Just as she was about to attack, a figure suddenly appeared in front of her. Boom! The space in front of Yi Xian directly exploded. The person who attacked was the Undying Emperor clan's patriarch, Dong Li Jing. Dong Li Jing looked at Mai and waved her sleeves. "Your opponent is me." As she finished speaking, she disappeared from her original position. In the distance, Mai suddenly punched out. With this punch, everyone in the starry sky seemed to stop. Domain. This was a martial domain and no ordinary martial domain. In the martial domain, Dong Li Jing's pupils constricted. She clenched her right hand, and the undying bloodline in her body suddenly boiled. In an instant, the power of her bloodline enveloped her body. After the power of her bloodline enveloped her body, Dong Li Jing directly punched out. Head-on. Rumble. As a shocking explosion resounded, the two women simultaneously retreated. At this moment, a figure suddenly appeared in front of Dong Li Jing. The Dark Hall's Hall Master. Obviously he wanted to kill Dong Li Jing. If he could assassinate the Undying Emperor clan's clan master, the Undying Emperor clan's morale would definitely plummet. Unfortunately, as soon as he appeared in front of Dong Li Jing, a black figure silently appeared behind him. The person who attacked was the Undying Emperor clan's Shadow Guard commander. He had actually been watching the Dark Hall's Hall Master all this time. After the Shadow Guard's commander appeared, the Dark Hall's Hall Master suddenly disappeared. The Shadow Guard's commander also disappeared. It was as if the two of them had never appeared. Dong Li Jing looked at Lini in the distance. She slowly clenched her right hand, and the undying bloodline within her surged madly. Since she possessed the undying bloodline, so long as she wasn't instantly killed, she wasn't afraid of anyone in a battle of attrition. Suddenly, the space in the distance split open and then two rays of light flew out. The two who came out were Moon Yanyan and Tu. In their hands were two bloody skulls. They were the heads of the Divine Sect's Sect Master and Supreme Elder. The two women had killed two people. The expressions of the experts from the Divine Sect changed drastically when they saw this. Moon Yanyan turned to look at the linen robe not far away. She had suddenly vanished, and at this moment, the Divine Word Master suddenly chanted an incantation. In the next instant, countless blood-red talismans appeared around Moon Yanyan. Moon Yanyan slashed down with her sword. Boom! The talisman exploded into pieces. But right at this moment, bolts of lightning struck down towards the top of her head. Moon Yanyan's expression was calm. She stomped her right foot lightly, and then she transformed into a ray of light that shot into the sky. The Divine Word Master was about to attack. Meanwhile, Yi Xian hurriedly said, "Little fellow, help him out." The white little fellow blinked, looked at the Divine Word Master, and raised her little claw. The Divine Word Master had just started chanting when the spirit energy around him was instantly sucked dry. The Divine Word Master was stunned. What did a Divine Word Master need the most? Spirit energy and elemental energy. But at this moment, the spirit energy around him had been sucked dry. It wasn't just the spirit energy that had been sucked dry, even the elemental energy around him was gone. What's this? The Divine Word Master gazed at the white little fellow below him. The white little fellow grinned and she seemed completely harmless. She's still smiling? The Divine Word Master was slightly stunned. Is she mocking me? Meanwhile, Moon Yanyan suddenly appeared in front of him. His expression changed drastically and he immediately flashed backwards. This single flash allowed him to move over 3 kilometers away. Moon Yanyan's sword slashed through the air. Yi Xian suddenly said, "Big Sister Nyan, kill those divine words." Moon Yanyan immediately turned around and charged at those divine words when he heard Yi Xian. The expressions of those divine words changed drastically, and they were about to start chanting when the white little fellow suddenly raised her claw and waved it lightly. In an instant, the spirit energy and elemental energy in an area of over 3 kilometers were completely sucked dry. All the Divine Words Masters were rendered useless. The Divine Words Masters were stunned. At this time, Moon Yanyan had already arrived. In the blink of an eye, 5 holy diviners were killed. After the Divine Words Masters' techniques were rendered useless, their combat strength was simply too weak. The Divine Word Master's expression changed drastically when he witnessed this scene, and he suddenly roared furiously, "Where's the Tendo?" The Tendo. Only the Tendo could gather spirit energy once more. If the Tendo could gather spirit energy once more, then they could still fight. So, he immediately summoned the Tendo. The Cosmos Divine Court controlled the order of the entire universe, and the Tendo everywhere had to give them face. Bang! A formidable aura suddenly appeared in the starry sky. As soon as this formidable aura appeared, the entire starry sky started to tremble, and the spirit energy in the surroundings fluctuated slightly. Then a figure gradually condensed silently. The Tendo. It was the Tendo of this starry sky. It wasn't particularly strong, but it wasn't weak either. The white little fellow glanced at the Tendo and continued to lick the candied haws, and there was a trace of greed in her eyes. The Tendo's spirit energy is even more abundant. The Divine Word Master took out the Divine Order and gazed at the Tendo. I order you to immediately mobilize all the spirit energy here and replenish it for us. The Tendo paid no attention to the Divine Word Master, and she gazed at White instead. She fell silent for a moment before she looked at the Divine Word Master and roared furiously, "Replenish your mother's head." With that she disappeared. He had confirmed with his eyes that he could not afford to offend this person. This was the spirit ancestor. Replenish spirit chi? Once this little guy breathed in, not to mention spiritual chi, even she, a Tendo, could absorb it all. Snatching spirit chi from the spirit ancestor? Wasn't that like entering the latrine with a lantern? At this moment the escaping Tendo was extremely frustrated. Was there something wrong with the Cosmos God Court? He told her to deal with the spirit ancestor. That was the spirit ancestor. It was as if he was asking his son to beat his father. Aren't you pushing me into a fire pit? And Yi Xian himself did not notice that his eyes were actually a little scarlet. But very quickly Yi Xian also noticed that something was wrong. He slowly closed his eyes, because he discovered that the blood vessels in his body actually started to surge again. He can feel that it is not immortal blood meridians but mad demon blood meridians. But very quickly the blood in his body returned to normal. Yi Xian frowned. What is going on? After a while Yi Xian collected his thoughts, turned to look at Lin Yan and the little girl and said with a smile, "Let's go." Finished speaking, the three of them continued to move forward. And this time no demonic dwellers stopped them. On the other side of the street there is a horse carriage, and inside the horse carriage is a woman. It is the demonic dweller that Yi Xian met once before outside the city. She has seen everything that happened on the street just now. The demonic dweller looked at Yi Xian's back. No one knows what she is thinking. At this time, not far from her, a demonic dweller cavalry suddenly said, "Miss, the sky is going to turn dark. We must leave this place before the sky turns dark." The demonic dweller glanced at the sky, nodded slightly and put down the curtain. The horse carriage continued to move forward. Yi Xian, Lin Yan, and the little girl arrived at the teleportation field of Divine Capital City. There are over 100 teleportation points here, and they can lead to various places in the Devil Dimension. Yi Xian glanced at the teleportation points, and every teleportation point has a name written below it. Very quickly, Yi Xian found the teleportation point that leads to the mortal dimension. Just as Yi Xian was about to lead the two of them to the teleportation point, Yi Xian suddenly turned to look, and there is a group of people walking over. It is the group of people that he met outside the city, and at this moment the woman in the horse carriage has walked out. The soldiers around the woman are looking at Yi Xian with extremely vigilant expressions. The woman glanced at Yi Xian, and then she led the group of people towards the teleportation point. Yi Xian did not stay for long, and he led Lin Yan and the little girl towards the teleportation point. However, just as they were about to enter the teleportation point, the sky suddenly split open, and the next moment, a white light suddenly descended from the sky. Boom! Before the crowd could react, the teleportation array had been turned into nothingness. When the white light dissipated, a person walked out. When he saw this person, Yi Xian, who was in the distance, had a drastic change in his expression. He was so frightened that he took a few steps back. F***C. What the hell? P.S. Many readers said that to open a new map, I want to write a few thousand chapters. Don't worry, I have never written more than 500 chapters in a world.